Assalamu alaikum Nazreen. London Living with Rizwan. Rizwan Rashid is here, and being federal election all on October 21st is time to vote. And today I'm here in the London Fanshawe riding, where from Conservative Michael Van Holst is competing. He has a long history in politics, and I really wanted to share his view with you. Again, my part where I really wanted to focus is personal part of who is Michael, what is passion behind his political bid, what is his plan for the people, and of course he's two-time in the Ward 1 councillor, help a lot of people, help community, connected with all the people, and understand what people want. And today we are sitting with here in Michael home office. Is very early, so that's why you don't see anybody around here. But Michael, thank you very much for accepting my invitation and joining us and sharing your view on London living.
Well, thank you. I'm pleased to be part of your program.
Thank you so much. So as I mentioned in my preface, that my program is all about community. It is not anything in political nature. So the preface would be that who is Michael? When they meet, when you go door knocking, when you already in community for a long time. So who is Michael?
Oh, well, thank you. That answer gets longer as we get older, because of course we've done and engaged in so many more things. The first answer I would say is, of course, as you've mentioned, I'm the federal Conservative candidate for the London Fanshawe riding. I'm also, as people know, the Ward 1 councillor in London, Ontario. So I've been doing this for 5 years now.
Okay.
It's interesting, it's supposed to be a part-time job. I quit my teaching job to do this full-time, so I could accomplish more.
Okay.
And very pleased at how much I was able to do, and also how well connected I was able to get with the community.
Okay.
So I'm part of the business association, member of school associations, community associations. So it's nice to be right in the trenches with the community and helping it thrive. And I think that's what I really wanted to see, was my community thrive. Ward 1 is one of the more challenged areas in the city, and particularly Hamilton Road became the first major project. It's part of a long corridor that stretches from Springbank Drive, then becomes Horton, and then Hamilton Road. And if you looked along that, you could see immediately where the city seemed to stop investing.
Yeah, I agree.
And there was this perception that in the East End, we
don't need to invest anymore.
Yeah, we're not getting the help we need. And so I was thrilled to see the kind of results we were able to achieve. So our community over the last 4 years has gotten a community improvement plan, a streetscape master plan, grants for businesses to fix up the facades, a new BIA, business improvement area, where all the businesses chip in for the development and promotion of the area, money for beautification, and most recently we're working on a rezoning of the entire corridor for free. So essentially it's a city-led rezoning, and it's including an archaeological assessment. So that will save every property owner about $15,000 and make it a place where development can happen very easily.
Okay.
So it takes some of the restrictions off, for instance, parking restrictions. So there was a lot of empty storefronts along this area, and part of that's because there's businesses people weren't able to open. Somebody wanted to open a certain type of business, they'd say, well, how many parking spots do you have? And they said, well, just these two in the front. Well, it's not enough, you can't do it. And so we're changing restrictions on those. And now you're seeing a big vibrancy come in here, and it's exciting, new kinds of business. So we've got a yoga studio, a cycle shop, candy store, new restaurants. So
those are evidence that people are seeing that improvement and they wanted to venture into this business zone now.
Yes, it's the So for the next upcoming area, there's excitement. I talk to the business owners and they say, oh, it's wonderful, welcome here. Why did you decide to invest in Hamilton Road? And they say, well, we can see the changes that are happening and we think this is going to be a great place because there's a lot of traffic that goes by here and it's becoming a really pretty area now. So the city's just finished a big construction project between Chelsea and Egerton.
Yeah.
And the sidewalks have been widened. There's trees here now. We've got our own Flex Street, which is just out there. So it's
I know
just
you were showing me right across street. Viewers is the Flex Street. It is one of the unique one where the people can go out and use that for businesses for pleasure.
Yeah. So we've had a nice block party. Earlier this year, so you can block it off. It's like a small Dundas place.
Dundas place, okay.
It's,
you must have already seen, Michael, how he actually showcased his writing, his Ward 1 councillorship, and how he engaged people in there, how he engaged businesses. And I particularly like the idea of the rezoning part of it, so people can embrace business, bring more business here, because I think you got the real idea from that perspective. If the businesses come, business thrive, people will follow. And that is the whole idea behind the East End. I think your understanding or your bigger view, I really enjoyed listening to you, because when you say then people coming from the East End, from Toronto, and they take 401 and GPS do follow them, take Highbury and then Hamilton going into this. So the first impression is Hamilton Road. So you gotta invest in there. So something really deep understanding, showcasing with the people part of it. But now let's talk about your passion about this bigger thing, being in the federal part of it. What is the passion behind here, Michael?
Well, I want people to thrive, and I think government plays a role in that. My metaphor might be this. Imagine you and I went to Las Vegas, and I said, Rizwan, how is it that all of these casinos are so wealthy and opulent? And you would say, well, Michael, the odds for every game are in favor of the house. They win by design. and then I might say, well...
And that rightly so, though.
Sure, and I could ask you, well, Canadians, are we winning by design? Have we set it up so that we win and thrive? And I don't know if that's the case. When we look at some of the policies and our taxation framework, there's better ways to do it. And I want to see us do that kind of thing, because this is a land where we all understand should be glorious and free. Canada's has so many resources, so many talented people that we should be right on top of the world, and we want to get there, and I think that's very possible. We can do it in a municipal sense, in a very local sense. You can see that here's how we can change things and have people thrive, and we can do that federally as well. Okay.
So the passion, what I'm listening to you is that because you want that people to all thrive, to go to the next level, to get the real feeling of being Canadian, of free, and do as much as you want and win for them. Is that what your passion behind it? So you wanted to have the people of Canada to go to the next level?
Yes, I'd say that. That was very good, and we need to be really smart about it. The problems of this day are very complicated, and the solutions can't be expressed in an 8-second soundbite. So they're more complicated. And one example I can give that I'm pretty proud of was it was a campaign promise that I made my first term. I wanted to see free billboard advertising for arts events. So I'm very much engaged in the arts community and theater, and I wanted it to be promoted better, because it itself is an economic engine there. So
Okay.
so the arts can produce a lot for London. And as an aside, that's also why I was promoting the film industry strategy
Okay.
that the city's taken on and is moving forward with that. So that's also exciting and a big potential for us. But there was the idea of promoting the arts a little better, and I could have said, well, one way to get free billboard advertising is to charge the taxpayers more money and then give it to them to print up billboards. But that's not that's not really the fiscally responsible way to do it. It's not the brilliant way.
Okay.
You say,
okay.
right, we need some brilliant ideas.
Okay.
And they're easy to spot. You just ask yourself, was this a brilliant idea? And if it's not, then set it aside and look for something else. So here's what we ended up with. What was required was we changed the sign bylaws, make sure our sign bylaw allows for digital billboards.
Okay.
So the new digital billboards, that means that you don't have to pay the expense of printing up the billboard. All you have to do is supply a graphic.
Okay.
Right? Then we have properties on the city where we lease them to billboard companies. They put up billboards on our city properties.
Okay.
And I said, okay, don't renew the contract. Let's put out a new offer where we'll ask the companies to put up a digital billboard and give us some of the advertising free. So that was it. And one company gave an offer. They said, we'll give you 5% of the advertising free, and we'll give you even more money than you were getting before. So now the city wins. And the arts community wins because now we can offer that free advertising to them. And when they're not advertising, we put up city messaging for free as well. And so it's a win-win-win situation. And there we are. It's a little more complicated, but the taxpayer doesn't pay. The city's making more money. The arts community is able to promote its events without a cost. So I think those are the exciting possibilities. And they made use of a new technology, and new technologies are coming out all the time, and we need to be thinking about them and how we can use those to set us up to win.
I really like the fact that you actually went beyond the surface value. When you talked about that, you wanted to have that film and all those posters and highlight them. You actually went behind the scene that, okay, it should not cost the end user, it should not cost the people who are wanting to advertise, it should not cost the city. So you figured it all out and made the plan and executed it. That's something that the person who is actually behind the scene can understand how it works. And so you actually are showing me that you have actually achieved this. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, there's a good example, and I think those kinds of things are possible when, for instance, we're taking on the climate change problem. So you need to evaluate the problems a little better. Let me give you an example. We had 2 investments in the city that saved us $600,000 a year in electricity in the waste water treatment. And you might think, hey, that's great. Right? Those are both green investments. We should do both of them. But one was a good investment and one wasn't.
Okay.
And so here's where we need to look a little more deeply beyond the surface. One of the investments, there was a 4-year payback. So after its 20-year lifetime, London is going to be $10 million ahead.
Okay.
Right? The other one had a 20-year life and a 23-year payback. So after 20 years, we've lost $2 million. But they both looked on the surface like they were doing us good. But now we need to look at those more deeply. And that's the kind of fiscal responsibility we need to remember. And so there's the qualitative arguments of, hey, this saves energy, and then there's the quantitative arguments of how much. And if we look more deeply into those, we can pick the right investments. And if we're always picking the right ones, then we're going to be moving ahead much faster, because that extra $10 million we can roll that into other investments that are also getting a great payback. Whereas if we're making the poor investment, we've just tied up our resources and ended up losing money in the end.
Yeah.
So
ripple effect.
yes,
Yeah.
there it is.
What people are telling you, what people, talking to you about their specific, because I think most of the people still wanted to know, what are you going to do for me? What your party is going to do for me here in London, right? So any stories you have, something to share, like what people are looking for?
Well, people are concerned about the cost of living.
That's true.
And so they want to see some more money in their pocket.
Okay.
And that's what we're trying to provide. And that's very important, because when people have got more disposable income, then our economy starts to thrive. They've got more opportunities, and everything works better. So we're putting more money in people's pockets. They're able to thrive. They're able to enjoy their area. That money they invest locally, and the businesses that we talked about here are thriving as well. Small and medium-sized businesses are very important in Canada. They're 40% of our GDP and probably our biggest creator of jobs. And so the more businesses we've got here, the more empty storefronts we fill, the more jobs we have.
Correct. Yeah.
And the more our economy is going.
Okay. So I get that you are in the ward-done councillor. People knows you already in the neighborhood. So when you go out canvassing, people already familiar with your face and have your discussion over there. Are you finding everybody's agreeing to your ideologies, your passion, and everything, or there's like confrontation too?
Oh, out of the
people
door.
with the different ideas too?
Well, yes, so you can't, everybody doesn't agree with every plan. Even a party like ours is a very big tent party. There's, not everybody agrees with every platform. However, there's still enough that you can say, if we did all of these things, the vast majority I would be happy with. And that's what you've got to go forward with. And it's democracy, right?
That's right.
We think this is the best way to go. Or
there's bigger issues. People have their own opinion on it. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's normal in any candidacy when you go there, you find there's other people have other views and other opinions as well.
That's right.
Right.
And it's nice that we're in Canada. People are very, very polite at the doors.
Yeah.
Or generally.
That's right.
Because you do see the stress that's happening in these days, and some people. However, it's nice to be out the door. I enjoy canvassing. I like to meet people. It's actually, for me, one of the more pleasant than some of the things that are involved in being an elected representative.
Okay.
So it's a challenging thing, and you can't make everybody happy.
Right.
And so I learned this very early on.
Okay.
And our first budget meeting came up within I think 2 months of being a councillor, and afterwards somebody sent me an email. And they took the trouble to make 90 points. It said, "Shame on you for supporting this particular group." And I showed it to the deputy mayor at the time, and I said to her, "What do you do with something like this?" And she looked at it and she said, "Well, I got pretty much the same thing voting the other way." And so we realized, okay, well, not everybody's going to be happy.
That's right.
But nevertheless, we want to make sure that we're moving
forward,
moving ahead, and trying to make sure that people are getting ahead. So it's about you. Everybody wants Canada to be a great place.
Okay.
And so I think we've got a really good plan to, like I said, it's a plan to make our environment better, to protect our environment, a plan to get Canadians ahead, to put more money in their pocket, and to live within our means.
Okay. You heard about Michael, in-depth knowledge about city, how he is actually looking at talking about fiscal responsibility, and then talk a little bit on the party side of it, what's a bigger vision, what's in it for him, how he's going to impact the lives of the people in London and the people around Canada. Well, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back, and we'll discuss a little bit further in what's the planning part of it for Michael in order to win, as well as going into the federal stage, what he's going to bring in the first and foremost, his priority. We'll be right back. Stay tuned for London Living with Rizwan. Welcome back. London Living with Rizwan. Rizwan Rashid is here with Michael. Michael from the London Fanshawe, federal candidate for Conservative. And today, Michael has been discussing a lot about his passion, his connection with the community, and his experience and how he has actually indulged in behind the camera, behind the scenes, in order to bring prosperity and longevity for the Ward 1, where he was councillor for about 5 years. So, Michael, now looking at this campaign, in this especially riding London Fanshawe, we have no incumbent. So we have parties, we have the candidates from all of the parties here, but there's no incumbent. How do you feel competing for this now?
Well, it certainly makes it a better opportunity for everyone running. If there's no incumbent, it's a wide open race.
Okay.
And so the voters of London Fanshawe have an opportunity to reevaluate and decide how they want to move forward. And I think that the Conservative Party's got some great possibilities.
Okay.
And that's why when I was approached to run, I said I would be willing to do that. My big hope is to be an advocate for London Fanshawe. Our area has a lot more child poverty, we found out in an article that was in the paper this morning. And we struggle here in London with the big challenge of its unemployment, poverty, homelessness, addiction, and mental health. It's like a fist that just punches us in the head, and we're not able to deal with it ourselves. We need some help from higher levels of government, and we need an excellent advocate to get that help from us. And when I looked at all the things I was able to get from my own struggling community, I realized that I would be an excellent advocate for us. And so I wanted to go to Ottawa and see if we can't get that assistance. This time it's going to be either a Liberal or a Conservative government. And there's an advantage to having a representative in the ruling party as opposed to an opposition party, because they've got the ear of the Prime Minister, influence in the caucus, and more access to the funding, more easy access to the funds that are going to be so necessary for us. I'm pleased that the Conservatives have said they will support the commitments the Liberals have made for infrastructure here in London.
Okay.
And we have a guarantee that we'll get our fair share of infrastructure spending. And so that will make sense. I see advocacy as a really important part of a representative. And we saw that just recently with General Dynamics contract, so a $15 billion contract with Saudi Arabia. That's important to London. The implications are big for that. And we want to make sure we've got someone who's going to support our area, London Fanshawe, for those jobs. I was disappointed that our representative wasn't in support of that. I believe that as the representative, I have to be the advocate, I have to be the voice for our riding, whether or not the rest of the party may
it's
like
not
it.
In line with the party.
Yeah, that's it. Somebody has to be our voice, and that has to be me. Okay. So I will speak for our riding because there needs to be a voice. Okay. And so we need to make sure that's a part of who we send to Ottawa, that we've got a strong advocate. I'm pleased with, as I said, the advocacy I've done here for Hamilton Road.
Okay.
And so I look forward to the challenge. I know it's much different, in Ottawa. But again, it's still
But you're
being
ready.
elected. Yeah.
But did you guys see that, and I'm sure you have noticed this, in fact, Michael is really proactive. I asked him about the parted win, and he actually went in further and talked about his the plan part of it, what would be the first thing he wanted to do, and advocacy, and I really enjoy listening about this metaphor of the punch, with all the poverty and homelessness, because it is happening. The plan is to represent the riding in terms of to eliminate these 5 big things that's happening in your riding.
That's one of the biggest challenges we're facing, and so I want to see us move forward in that direction.
Okay.
And if we can make some gains there, we'll be able to share those with the rest of Canada, because it's a problem that's seen everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Good. Now, on a lighter note, how do you think your party is going to support you and your ideology and your part that, London would be one of the things that you want to talk about a lot more?
Well, number one, I wanted people to thrive, and that's what our big policy is. We're coming up with ways to have Canadians get ahead.
Okay.
So we're going to put more money in their pocket, and we've got over a dozen strategies for doing that are implementable. A big one is get rid of the carbon tax, because that makes everything more expensive. As everything that moves is now more costly because of that, and it's a challenge to our small businesses. I was in the new sushi restaurant we've got on Hamilton Road, and the man there was saying just how difficult it's become because of the price of something like avocados. When that goes, you're making some beautiful California sushi, and all of a sudden the avocados are more expensive because shipping them from Mexico up to Canada is more expensive. I know another grocery store owner was saying the cost of mangoes has gone way up just because of that. So those kinds of things hurt everybody. They hurt business, they hurt the people who want to be healthy and buy fresh food. So by getting rid of that, people will be ahead. So there's another way of winning. Back to Vegas, if I said, hey, is this, are Canadians winning by design if we have a carbon tax? No, it's not. And so it's nice to see that our party's plan is to be tackling the climate by looking at green technology and not taxes. And there's some exciting things for our area just because of that. So we have a company in London, Fanshawe, that's got a new wastewater treatment technology.
Okay.
Wastewater treatment uses a lot of electricity, and this would cut the electricity use by about 75%. If we implemented that in the city, that would cut our entire electricity requirement by 25%. Our entire electricity. So that'd be great for London. But imagine if we were to take that technology to other countries that are the big emitters, right? So Canada is 1.6% of the global emissions. There's other countries that are huge amounts. If we could take them our technologies, they would be doing better. They would be motivated because they're saving money. They're reducing their energy requirements. And now we've got jobs happening here in London, Fanshawe, in London. And so there's the other thing to advocate for, these kinds of win-win situations where we're also employing our people, we're bringing better, higher paying jobs to Londoners, and we're making a difference. We're making the kind of difference that's a worldwide difference, and really taking on that challenge.
Awesome. How did you like the debate?
I was able to see just a part of the debate.
Okay.
I was still out knocking on doors while it was still light. Work while you have the light. That's what they say.
Yeah.
I was pleased that Andrew Scheer was able to stay on message for us. So those are kind of very, very loud, lots of talking over each other. So it's hard to get a message out, but he was able to tell Canadians that we've got a real plan to protect the environment, we're going to live within our means. We're going to put more money in people's pockets, and we're going to have Canadians get ahead.
Michael, we are the last leg of the program. At this point, I wanted to ask you to tell our audience one last thing you wanted to say or speak about your constituency, about your political bid. What would you like to say to our audience?
Okay, well, thank you. I would like to say first, thank you for the opportunity to having been able to serve you as City Councillor. It's been very gratifying. I really enjoyed the relationship I had with my constituents, which was basically this: you tell me what you want, I'll try and go get it. And so it's really exciting and gratifying to be able to get so many of those things to happen. And that's what I would like to do as your Member of Parliament in Ottawa. So please, on October 21st, vote Conservative and vote for Michael Van Holst, and let me be that advocate for you.
And thank you very much, Michael. I think you already have seen how Michael have evolved from his Ward 1 councillorship, how he has involved businesses, how he bring in the bylaws or change the bylaws in terms of businesses to flourish here. That flourish will take effect and bring people in the East End, which is kind of in that rough or tough areas at one point was considered. Now you can see it, and I can witness that the development around the Hamilton area has changed. You can actually have better road, better sidewalk and stuff. So I think the plan is there. My suggestion, my request to all the people, all the viewers would be, on October 21st, listen to all of your candidates, listen to all of the things, listen to all of the opinions and objective and party things behind it, but do vote. Your vote matters. That is number one responsibility for you. And of course, when Michael, all the parties goes to Ottawa, and they will work on these legislation, and then they work for you, that is the time you can go back and ask for those commitments to be fulfilled. But vote must. If you can't go to the vote on October 21st for any other reason, advanced poll starts on October 11th all the way to October 14th. Do vote. This is your responsibility to vote, and then it becomes the responsibility of your elected individuals, representative, to go for the commitments and promises they have done. Thank you for watching London Living, and thank you, Michael, for giving us time. I know you are really busy. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure and really a deep understanding of why you are running, and I think it helped me understand a little bit more about you and your passion behind it. I wish you good luck, and looking forward to seeing you more.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.